Hey guys, Miles and Ramos, and happy Thanksgiving. Something I'm thankful for is family, and football is letting me down on this one for this time. But you know, Dolphins did not win against the Green Bay Packers. They lost 30-17. Packers got out early and often. I wish the Dolphins would have started off with the football and asserted their will earlier. Unfortunately, they let the Packers get out the gates quick, and it all started going downhill very, very fast for this Miami Dolphins team. They were able to make it interesting there in the second half, but it was too little, too late for this Miami Dolphins team. One thing I want to add is penalties, missed tackles. It's the little things that this Dolphins team needs to work on, especially in these cold environments. The Green Bay Packers were having way more sure tackled plays, and they were playing the Dolphins offense on the defensive side for the Packers way better than the counter of the Dolphins defense versus the Packers offense. Now, there are some other moments like the muff punt on the first time that the Dolphins were going to get the ball back. Like, that just set a very bad tone for this Miami Dolphins team. But that's neither here or there. Let's talk about the post-game review. Without further ado, we'll get to that now. So post-game review, we're going to go over some team stats, followed with the highlight. Disclaimer, if the highlight gets, jumps out of place, it's because they're trying to take me down. Sorry. And then we're going to go over some box score stats, and then last but not least, address the keys to victory for this Miami Dolphins team. So without further ado, let's talk about some team stats. We'll start with the Dolphins in terms of their first downs. The Dolphins had 21 first downs to the Packers 19. Third down efficiency wasn't great. 4 of 14 for the Miami Dolphins. 5 of 11 for the Green Bay Packers. So Packers almost converted on half of theirs. Dolphins barely converted on a third of theirs. Fourth down efficiency, Dolphins were 3 of 5. And then the Packers did not have to go for a single fourth down. Let's see what else other team stats we can talk about. Red zone appearances per make. Dolphins made it 4 times and had a successful red zone trip twice. Packers were 3 of 5, so they made the red zone 5 times and got in the end zone 3 times. Penalties. I said that all weird. Penalties. Dolphins had 10 penalties for 75 total yards. Bad. If you see double-digit penalties, bad. Very bad. Very bad. If you can keep penalties under 5 penalties, fine. Like the Green Bay Packers had 7 penalties for 44 yards. So close in terms of penalties, amount of penalties against them, but the yardage is not that bad for them. And then last but not least, turnovers. Dolphins allowed a turnover off that muffed punt. And then really quick, time of possession, 33 minutes and 4 seconds for the Dolphins, 26 minutes and 56 seconds for the Packers. Now, without further ado, we're going to get into the highlight. Just another note, things to jump around in this highlight, it's because they tried taking it out. But let's get into it. We got a nice freezing night in Lambeau Field on this wonderful Thanksgiving evening. Mike McDaniel facing a former colleague of his in Matt LaFleur, and we're getting straight into the action. Malik Washington muffing the punt following a forced 3 and out by the Miami Dolphins. Tough look there, and the Packers recover in the red zone. Malik Washington very displeased with himself, not getting this Dolphins team out on a good foot. To make matters worse, Dolphins allow an easy touchdown to Jaden Reed. He does his Lambeau leap. Couple drives later for the Packers, Josh Jacobs waltz into the end zone. And then just before the half, not too long before the half, Jaden Reed gets his second touchdown of the evening. Now we're in the second half. Dolphins finally getting into the red zone and finally making it worth a while. Devon Achane gets in the end zone for 6. Waddle taps it in both feet, secures the ball for a 2-point conversion. By this point, Dolphins were down 16. Later on in the game, after a Packers field goal, targeted Jonnu. Tyreek comes up with the bobbled ball. LaFleur and McDaniel tapping each other up, saying they're good graces. Same for Tua and Jordan Love. It's a tough one. You wish that the Dolphins will come out on top here and find the way to win, especially in such a pivotal, big-time, primetime matchup. Defeat the allegations of, being a team that cannot win when it's cold, when it's below freezing, etc. They couldn't do it. And it sucks because, it is just a narrative. I think any given game day, a team can come out and perform well. But this is a consistent problem. Dolphins need home field advantage. And, right now being 5-7, not great for them. They were a game away from 500. I was hoping they would get it there. But, when you come into a place like Lambeau Field, it's freezing out there. They're a really good team. Came into this matchup at 8-3. Now they're leaving it at 9-3 and competing for one, the top spot in the NFC wildcard race, and then two, just right there on the toes of the Detroit Lions. Things will get interesting for that NFC North title. But yeah, just a tough spot for the Miami Dolphins. All right, let's get into some stats. We're going to start off with Tua here. He went 37 of 46, 365 total yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, but sacked 5 times for a loss of 29 yards. Jordan Love didn't go too crazy in this game, but, he was really efficient. He went 21 of 28, 274 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and was not sacked a single time. That is right. Dolphins cannot get in that backfield, unfortunately. The rushing attack, not a great rushing game for the Miami Dolphins. 39 total yards rushing. But they had to abandon the rushing game pretty early to, try to get back into this matchup. Mostert was the leading ball carrier with 5 carries for 19 yards. He had a big one for 12. And then Achane, 7 carries for 14 yards, longest of 13. So, not a great day at all on the ground for the Miami Dolphins team. In terms of the Packers, they had a good game on the ground. A lot of contribution from guys all around. 114 total yards on the ground for the Packers. Josh Jacobs led them with 19 carries for 43 total yards and a touchdown. Following him was Chris Brooks, former Dolphin, 3 carries for 28 yards. Jaden Reed, 1 carry for 23. And Emmanuel Wilson, 2 carries for 20. So not a bad day on the ground for the Green Bay Packers whatsoever. Receiving, Jonnu Smith continues to be that dude for this Dolphins team. 10 receptions, 113 total yards, which added on to the 365 total receiving yards for this Dolphins team. Following him was Tyreek Hill, 6 receptions for 83 total yards and a touchdown. The touchdown pass was intended for Jonnu, and it got bopped up, and Tyreek Hill was fortunately able to come down with it. But still, just a funny play there. Achane, 8 receptions, 56 total yards. Jalen Waddle, 4 receptions, 53 total yards. Not so bad in those 4 guys in their production. I just feel like it was a lot of too little, too late, and you're already behind the ball so bad that the Packers. Not saying they feel bad for you, but they're not playing the best defense at that point. They're just trying to pretty much get out of the game with a win and not deal with so many injuries. For the Green Bay Packers, 274 total receiving yards. Tucker Kraft was the leading receiver with 6 total receptions for 78 total yards. Josh Jacobs, 4 receptions for 74. He had a big 49-yard one. Christian Watson, 2 receptions for 67. He had a big one for 46. Jontavion Wicks, 4 receptions for 30. Jaden Reed, 3 receptions for 24 yards, but 2 of them were touchdowns. And then Chris Brooks, 2 receptions for 1 yard. Fumbles, Malik Washington had a fumble, and it was recovered by Robert Rochelle. And then John Yusuf had a fumble, and it went out of bounds. Defense, Tyrell Dodson led the Dolphins in tackling with 10 total tackles, 5 solo. Then going down the list was Jordan Poyer with 9. He had 2 solo. Some key defensive stats. We have Zach Sealer with a tackle for a loss and a QB hit. Benito Jones, 1 tackle for a loss. Jalen Ramsey, 1 pass deflection. Sierra Neal, 2 pass deflections. And Kader Kohu, 1 pass deflection. Calais Campbell also had a QB hit. And that's pretty much it for this Miami Dolphins defense. Not a great day for the defense. Not saying that they had a horrible game. I think, keeping the Green Bay Packers at 30 points is not so bad. It's just in the way it happened that it just wasn't a great day defensively. A lot of missed tackles. I feel like if they convert on half of those missed tackles, we're talking about a 21-something game. I think it's a whole different ball game if the Dolphins were able secure some of those guys on the defensive side. The Green Bay Packers defense, Isaiah McDuffie, dude balled out. He had 10 total tackles, 7 solo. He had a tackle for a loss and a pass deflection. Quay Walker next with 10 total, 6 solo. He had a sack, 2 tackles for a loss, and a QB hit. Xavier Kennedy right up there with 9 total, 7 solo. Keyshawn Nixon had a pass deflection. Kingsley and Argbe, probably said that awfully, I'm sorry. 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 QB hit. Lucas Van Ness, 1 sack, 2 tackles for a loss, 1 QB hit. Sean Gary, 1 QB hit. Aaron Mosby, a tackle for a loss. Brenton Cox Jr. with a sack, tackle for a loss, and a QB hit. And Kenny Clark had a sack, tackle for a loss, and a QB hit. No interceptions. Kick returns. Malik Washington had 4 kick returns for 108 total yards. He had a long one of 31. Keyshawn Nixon had 2 returns for a total of 73 total yards, longest of 43. Malik Washington had 2 punt returns for a total of 5 yards. Packers had no punt returns. Jason Sanders went 1 for 1 on field goals and no extra points for him, unfortunately. The field goal was 33 total yards. Brandon McManus went 3 for 3 on field goals, longest of 46, and 3 for 3 on extra points. Punting, Jake Bailey had 3 punts for 146 total yards, longest of 53. Daniel Whelan had 4 total punts, 172 total yards, 1 touchback, 3 of which when they're 20, and longest of 50. Now, keys to victory. They're not really coming to my mind at the moment, but I would imagine one of them was to get the ball rolling in terms of the running game. Awful day at the office in terms of running. That was 39 total yards rushing. Not great at all. And then the next one was put pressure on Jordan Love. Not so much pressure. Dolphins equated 3 QB hits, no sacks. Not great. And then the other one was to limit Josh Jacobs. I said if they kept him below 2.9 yards per carry, which they did. He averaged 2.3. But, he also inflicted some wounds on the passing game. So, in that sense, I would say it was also a failure. So, the 3 keys to victory were all stuffed in the dirt and said, no way, Jose. So, that was not good. It was upsetting, but it is what it is. Dolphins are currently now 5-7 and have themselves quite the road ahead of them. Now, people have always been saying, hey, Dolphins have the easiest stretch remaining for most, easiest strength of schedule in terms of, opponents, win-loss ratio, all that stuff. Look, you're playing the Jets twice. They got maybe something to prove. They're not in contention pretty much for anything anymore, but they still, want to go out there and perform. Houston Texans competing for their division and arguably a top spot within the AFC, but I think that's kind of gone to the wayside now. 49ers, just really depends what type of 49ers team the Dolphins get when they get there. And Browns, wild card type of team, like in terms of like you don't know what the hell you're going to get out of them, but they're a losing team as well. And then you get the Jets one more time. So it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be hard. It's going to be kind of in the middle of the road there. And hopefully Dolphins can make something of it. But at 5-7, definitely not where the Dolphins wanted to be once the clock hit midnight tonight, but it is what it is. I think definitely want to point to the missed tackles. Definitely want to point to the lack of offensive production. And definitely, I do think the weather played a factor into it. We've got to do something about this Dolphins team and them playing in these cold games and like struggling so bad. It's very frustrating. I wish it wasn't a thing, but it is. I do get the comfort of living in Miami and it brings pretty much summer the whole year round. So, that definitely has something to do with it. But, man, half of these guys are from all over the country. They've dealt with cold weather growing up. So, I hope, they would be a little bit better about it. It is what it is. It sucks, but we're here now. And I hope that the Dolphins can, learn from this, grow from this, and be better. Because, like I mentioned, that stretch of games coming down the line, not going to be easy. Everyone's records, for the most part, pretty much suck. But so do ours. So, what does that say about us? You know, I think they have quite a bit to build on, but the things that we've been seeing in this latest 3-game win streak, it's getting better, but this was a really bad one in that sense, and they could not convert on a lot of the things that we were hoping that they would. So that pretty much sums it up for this post-game review. I clicked the wrong button. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up for the post-game review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving with your family. Mine was a little bit salty at the end there because the Dolphins were stinking up the joint. That's pretty much it. Dolphins 5-7 have I think it's a bit of a tough road ahead of them. Can't lose anymore. Got to end off the season 10-7 and hope for the best because the standings are not in our favor. That's all I pretty much got to say. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.